New Zealand citizen James Eyre was devastated when, in 2016, Jetstar Airlines refused passage to his pet goldfish. However, after much commotion and deliberation, not only was Lil B, and yes, the goldfish is named after a rapper, allowed onto the plane, but he was also given his very own plane ticket. Soon after, Lil B and his owner became a nationwide sensation. And although New Zealand may have let this fish fly in 2016, as of early 2020, they have put in place strict travel regulations on humans and goldfish alike. According to Beth Howell on November 23rd, 2020, New Zealand stands among a very few countries who have almost completely eradicated the COVID-19 disease through a series of strict and effective protocols. For New Zealand, this started with an almost immediate lockdown and then went to stuff like a contact tracing program and a mask mandate, as well as many others. And because of this, they are effectively COVID-free. However, unfortunately, according to the BMJ, the US can hardly say the same, as they report that the US cannot consider their response anything but a failure, as we are now the highest count of cases and deaths worldwide of any country. And considering that any improvement upon the US's COVID-19 response plan, even now, has the potential to save hundreds, if not thousands of lives, it is imperative that we ask today's question: which country's COVID-19 response is the best model for the US to follow? And the answer is, without a doubt, New Zealand, for three key reasons. First, because of their mask mandate. Second, because of their contact tracing program. And finally, because of the tone of their leader. First, mask mandate. According to Times Magazine on June 17th, 2020, less than 3 weeks after the initial case was reported, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand instituted a level 4 lockdown in which New Zealanders were instructed to only interact with other members of their household. And after 5 weeks, this was lifted. And according to Al Jazeera, on August 31st, 2020, this was replaced with a mask mandate for all public areas, especially public transit. This was explicitly supported and encouraged by Jacinda Ardern. And unfortunately, the US is in direct contrast of this, as the New York Times finds on October 3rd that US President Donald Trump has repeatedly downplayed the significance and effectiveness of masks, has mocked people, including the president-elect Joe Biden, for wearing masks, and has been seen repeatedly in public spaces without a mask himself. This has already seen its impact, as the AARD finds on November 30th, 2020, that so far in the United States, only 34 states have instituted a mask mandate. And this is incredibly problematic, as Dr. Francis Collins finds that on August 25th, 2020, that masks already have and will continue to save thousands of lives. This is clearly applicable to our state situation, as data from Health Affairs finds recently on July 16th, 2020, that states that have not instituted a mask mandate have seen an uptick in cases in comparison to states that have instituted it, where they have seen a decrease. And the second reason why it is imperative for the United States to adopt New Zealand's COVID-19 response plan is because of their contact tracing program. According to the World Health Organization on July 5th, 2020, New Zealand is one of a handful of countries that lead in contact tracing and have even had a comprehensive program where they test all cases since a day after their first reported case. And once again, on the other hand, Scientific American finds that the United States is undercutting and underusing contact tracing, and that President Donald Trump and his administration have repeatedly tried to both deprioritize this and cut funding from this vital program. This is incredibly problematic, as PBS NewsHour finds on May 5th, 2020, that contact tracing may just be what saves this country and can help start to curb the ginormous uptake in cases that we have seen in the past couple months. And finally, the third reason why the United States should choose to follow the New Zealand COVID response plan is because of their leader. According to Vox on October 17th, 2020, Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, has received an outpouring of support in her October elections, where she won by a landslide. This support does not just limit to her own country, but also the rest of the world, as Vox continues that she has been hailed worldwide for her response to the COVID pandemic. This is for good reason, as from the start of the pandemic, Jacinda Ardern has supported wearing a mask, listening to the scientists, and affirming the existence of and the severity of this crisis. And this is contradictory towards the United States, as the New York Times continues both on October 3rd and then again on October 5th. That President Trump is on record, from conferences to tweets to interviews, saying things such as he isn't worried about COVID and that it's just going to go away with the warm weather and that it's a miracle, it's going to disappear like a miracle. And while these examples may have all occurred earlier in the year, in February and March, most recently, there has been an uptick in this behavior once again, where we saw on October 5th, when Donald Trump sent out a tweet that told Americans, don't worry about COVID, and that we shouldn't let it dominate our lives. And given that what a leader says to its population undoubtedly has an effect on its citizens, it seems that Donald Trump, as well as anyone else in power in America that is minimizing the effects and severity of this crisis, should start taking notes on Jacinda Ardern and the rest of her country. And so, in returning to today's question, what country's COVID-19 response is the best model for the US to follow? The answer is clear. It's New Zealand for these three reasons. First, because of the mask mandate that was put in place after their lockdown. Second, because of their record-breaking contact tracing program. And third and finally, because of their leader's tone. Thank you.